We are going to talk about the while loop. The most basic loop in JavaScript is the while loop, for which will be discussed in this tutorial. You will have been familiar with loop. Let's say, for example, now you are given a particular assignment. You are asked to write 1 to 1 million. How do you think you can do that? Will you start writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? It will get to a stage that you'll be exhausted. But even if you are not exhausted, writing from 1 to 1 million, it takes time. You can spend more than a day or 2 days before you'll be able to complete it. But do you know that instead of you to spend a day writing from 1 to 1 million, with a single program, you can just create a while loop that writes 1 to 1 million in just 2 seconds. So what I'm just trying to say in essence is that if you want to count, you want to write something maybe 1 to 1 million or 1 to 1 billion, lesser than 1 second or 2 seconds, you will 1 to 1,000 will have been or 1 to 1 million will have been displayed. So what I'm just trying to say is that instead of you wasting your time to start using your pen to start writing 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 1 million, using while loop, you can loop through 1 to 1 million in just a matter of seconds. So, but while loop is not mainly used, is not for only use in doing add-on counting. You can also use it for other things. So we are going to talk explicitly about all this. So the purpose of while loops is to execute a statement or code block repeatedly. That is, you want to repeat a number as long as the expression is true. Once the expression became false, the loop will be existed. So let's see how it works. Let's try the following code to see the illustration of what we are trying to talk about. But before we do that, let's log into our FTP account. So we'll go to our FTP. So let me also log into my Ewebtutor admin account. I've told you the username and password to log into your Ewebtutor is found in the email that we send you during the course of your registration. So I will log in. So the under the Ewebtutor FTP, your IP address is this. You can find it inside your Ewebtutor account. Your IP, then your username. My own example is markets. My own username is markets. And my password, I've told you the password can be found in the email we'll send you during the course of your registration. But it's better you use your hand to type it, and always note the capitalization. Like this Q now is capital letter and this T also is capital letter. So when I want to type it, I have to include that, or else you will not be able to log in. So if all is well, you should log me in. So I'm able to log in. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go to www directory. So once I got into my www directory, so let me create a new file. Let me name it java3.html. So let's run this code. So look at what happened in this code. Look at what happened. We create a variable, we call it count. We said count is equals to 0. We just create a variable and we assign it as 0. We now use document.write to print a test, to print an output. And that output will be what? Starting loop. That's the only thing that will be there. So when you run this program for the first time, since this program is not inside a function, what you are going to expect first is what? Starting loop. This statement is not going to bring out an output. Why? Because it's just declaration and an assignment of variables. But the only thing that will be written as an output, the first output that you are going to have, is starting loop, because we make use of document.write. So right now, after this starting loop, there is another statement that we have here, making use of the while statement. Let me just explain what this does. We say while count is lesser than 10, but note, when we are talking about the while loop, we told you that while So whatever is inside this bracket is the expression. So in this case now, count lesser than 10 is the expression. We now said if this expression is true, whatever is inside this parenthesis is going to be run. So that means whatever you have inside this parenthesis that you are seeing, if this expression that is inside this bracket is true, whatever you have inside the parenthesis is going to run. But if the statement, the expression that is here is not true, whatever is inside this curly bracket is not going to run. So if you want the statement that is inside this curly bracket to run, then that means this expression must hold. Just note that. So our expression now is count lesser than 10. So, and our statement, the first statement we have is this, and our second statement is this. So let's see how this works. We say while count is lesser than 10. Is count lesser than 10? Normally you've already declared your count, because before you can use a variable in Java, you have to first declare it. We've already declared it, and we have assigned 0 as the count. So we now say why count is lesser than 10. Is count lesser than 10? Yes, count is lesser than 10 because count is the 0. So if 0 is lesser than 10, then this statement is going to run. And see what happened. We said count is lesser than 10. If 0 is lesser than 10, yes. So we now have document write current counts. What is the count now? 0. Then you are going to have an output current count 0. Current count 0. So when you have current, that means after the starting loop, you are going to have current count 0. Then go to the next statement also is going to run count plus plus. I've already explained to you during the introduction of JavaScript that when you have count plus plus, it means you want to increase the value of a particular variable, and this variable now in this example is what is count. You want to include count by what? By factor of 1. Count is the 0 before, so when you say count plus plus, meaning what? 1. So since 1 is still lesser than 10, this program is going to run the second time again. So this time around, document.write current count will now be what? 1. So it will go to the second statement. Count plus plus 1 plus 1 will be 2. Since 2 is still lesser than 10, this statement will be run again. It's now been running like that, will be running like that up till when count is now 9. That is when count plus plus, when it's now 9. Since 9 is still lesser than 10, then you have current count 9. So now count plus plus will now be what? Will now be 10. Is 10 lesser than 10? 10 is no longer lesser than 10. So this thing is going to go out of the loop. So you now have your final statement, which is loop stop. Because this loop stop is not inside the while loop, it's outside the while loop. So since this statement, this expression no longer hold when count equals to 10, the statement no longer hold, then the program is going to terminate outside the loop. So that means every other thing that is outside, that is after this loop, is now going to run. But if the state expression is true, that is when maybe count is 9, count is 8, count is 7, which the expression is true, the program, the statement that is inside this parenthesis is still going to run until the expression is false. That is when the program is going to terminate outside the loop. So right now, if I want to count from 0 to, if I want to count from 1 to 100, all I just need to do is I will change this count to 1. So I mean the count is starting from 1, and this will now be 100. I'll just put 100 here. So that means if I'm just running the program for the first time, count is lesser than 1 is true. You have current count 1. Count plus plus, count will change turn to 2 now. 2 is still lesser than 100. You have current count 2. 2 plus plus making 3. 3 is still lesser than 100. So it will now be looping like that until it gets to where count plus plus is equals to 100. So our count will now be 100 now. 100 is not lesser than 100. Yes. Then the program is going to terminate outside the loop. So let's run this and see what's our output now. So our count is not going to start from, current count will now start from 1 up to current count 100. So let's run this now and see our results. So let me just open our URL. This file name is Java 3. Java 3. Can you see? Starting loop. Current count 1, current count 2, like that up to up till current count, up to current count 99. Why? Because is until count go to 99 that is when count is equals to 99, 99 is still lesser than 100. That is why you have current count 99. But when count is now equals to 100, that is when count plus plus, that is 99 plus plus, when count is now equals to 100, 100 is no longer lesser than 100. So the program is going to terminate outside this loop, and you are going to have loop stop. That is why you have, after current count 99, you have loop stop. After current count 99, you have loop stop. But if you want to count from 1 to 100, you should have just increased this 101 to 100 to, sorry, this 100 to 101, so that count will cost to 100 before the program will terminate. So that means you have to add 1 to it. Like the example we did the other time, as we want to count from 1 to 10, all we just need to do is we should just place this 11. So this time around, the program is going to count from 1 to 10, because when count is now equals to 11, the program is going to terminate outside the loop. So that's just about while loop. So this is just another example of while loop. So another thing that we have is the do while loop. The do while loop is also similar to the while loop, except that the condition check happens at the end of the loop. This means that the loop will always be executed at least one, even if the condition is false. That is to say, the loop will continue to be executed at least once, even if the condition is false. So let's see how this works. We have variable count 0, then we have document.write starting loop, then we enter into the loop do document.write current count, then that means count is equals to 0. Count plus plus, then it's going to increase it to 1. Why count is lesser than 0, then document.write loop stop. So let's see how this works. Let's save this. So let's refresh our web page. Can you see? We only have current count 0, then the loop stopped. What happened? When we first run our program, we have variable count is equals to 0. Then the next statement we have is document.write starting loop, and that is this starting loop that you see here. The second thing is we said document when we enter inside the do loop, and I've already told you that even if the loop, even if the condition is false, the loop will always be executed at least once, even if the condition is false. So right now, after the starting loop, we have do document.write current count. What is the current count? Note, count is still what? Is still 0. So that's why we have current count 0. That's why we have current count 0 after starting loop, because the first one that is here is the starting loop. Then after then we say do document.write current count. And what is count? Count is equals to 0. That's why we have current count 0. So after these statements now, we said count plus plus. What is count plus plus? Then we have changed our count now. Our count that is 0 before now is now what? Is now 1. So just note that our count now is 1, is not 0 again. Our count is still 0 here. That's why we have current count 0. But now that we said count plus plus, count is now 1. So right now we now enter into while loop. So we now say why count is lesser than 0. Is that a statement? Do you understand? Why count is lesser than 0? What is count now? Count is what? Is 1. Is 1 lesser than 0? No. So that is why the statement cannot loop again. Because note, this is not just ordinary while loop. This is do while loop. Is until this statement inside this while loop, if the statement is correct, that is, if the statement is true, then the loop is going, the program is going to enter inside this do loop again. But if the statement is false, the statement is going to go to the next statement. try to understand. What I'm trying to say is this: if the condition in this expression inside the while loop, if that condition is true, the program is going to enter into the do loop another time. But if the condition is false, then the program is going to run is going to terminate from this do loop and enter into the next statement after this y. So what happened now is that we say y count is lesser than 0. Now is count lesser than 0, count is already 1, and 1 is not lesser than 0. So the condition is not true, and since the condition is not true, the program will not enter into the loop again. The program will just go outside the loop. And then what is outside this loop now? The statement that is outside this do loop is what? Is loop stop. So that is why we have loop stop. But assuming they said y count is greater than 0, 1 is greater than 0, then this program will enter into the loop again. We have count 2. 2 is also greater than 0. The program will go again, and the program will not stop because it will be unlimited, because you use count is greater than 0. And whatever you have, whenever you say count plus plus, we always give you values that are greater than 0. So this kind of program is not going to have an ending. It will continue to go throughout even life, to just continue to go like that. It's continue to be repeating itself. But right now, if we say count, if count start from 5, if we say count start from 5, and let's say we use, instead of increment, we use decrements. Yeah. Right now, the first one we have starting loop. Here now we have current count is 5. So right now, count minus minus 5 will now turn to what? It will turn to 4. So we now say y count, which is 4, is lesser than 0. Is count lesser than 0? Count is not lesser than 0. 4 is not lesser than 0. The program will what? Will terminate. Then the loop will terminate and the next statement will be printed. But let's now say instead of this greater than, we change this one to instead of this lesser than, we change this one to greater than. Now we say variable count equals to 5. We have certain loop. Do the current count will now be what? 5. Count minus minus will now be what? 5 or 4. Count will now turn to what? It will turn to 4 here. So when you have 4, why 4 is greater than 0? Is 4 greater than 0? Yes, 4 is greater than 0. Then the statement is going to enter into the loop the second time. Then what will you have? You have document right. Current count now is what? Is 4. Count minus minus, it will turn to 3. So 3 is still greater than 0. It will enter into the loop again. Current count 3. Count minus minus 3 minus 1, that's 2. Count is now 2. 2 is still greater than 0. It will enter into the loop again. Then here now you have current count 2. Count minus minus, count is now 1. 1 is still greater than 0. It will enter into the loop again. Current count 1. Count minus minus will now give you what? 0. Is 0 greater than 0? 0 is not greater than 0. Then the program is going to terminate outside the loop. Then you have this output, loop stop. So that means I only taught you how to count from 5 to 0. That's what I just teach you. So it's possible you count from 1 million to 0, making use do while loop, or you can also use do loop. So it's just where you have count plus plus, you just have count minus minus. You can also try while loop. So if you want to count from 1 to any number, or you want to count from any number to 1 or 0, then you can do it now, making use of while, or you make use of do while loop. So, but it's not, there are other loops that we have. We have the for loops. For loops is the most compact form of looping, and it includes 3 important parts. The loop initialization, where we initialize our counter to a starting value. The initialization statement is executed before the loops begin. The test statement, which we text if the given condition is true or not. If the condition is true, then code given inside the loop will be executed, otherwise loop will come out. The iteration statement, where you can increase or decrease the number of counter. Yeah. So let's try this example. Just note, is also what you can use do to do. You can also use for to do it, and you can also use why to do it. It now depends on the one you like using most. So look at this time around, we are going to use the for loop to count from 0 to 9, just like the other time we making use of the while loop. Here now we said var count. We just declare the variable here, we did not initialize it. We declare it here, but we do not initialize it. Instead of me to saying var count here, I can decide to say, I've commented this out. I can decide to say var count is equals to 0 semicolon, because I told you we can declare it here, but whenever we want to have two or more statements in the same place, then we end them with what? With a semicolon. I've already taught you this. But instead of this, let's have the normal program. We said var count. Here now we said, note, the loop we are trying to talk about now is the for loop. But before we enter into the for loop, we have var count. Then we have document.write starting loop. That means the fourth output we are going to have is starting loop. Then we now enter into the loop. Since we have already declared the count, we don't need to declare it again. We just say count is equals to 0. So this is the parameter that for loop used to have. It's different from while loop. You are going to first, inside the for, the expression of the for loop, you are going to first initialize your variable. Here now we said count is equals to 0 semicolon. Count is lesser than 10. We now ask it to be what? To be increasing by 1 every time. So what will happen is count is first 0. Then the next statement, 0 is lesser than 10. Then this program is going to run. Then count plus plus. That means 0 will turn to 1 now. Then since this one is initialization, we are not going to use this again. 1 is still lesser than 10. The program will run the second time. Count plus plus. Making count is 2 now. 2 is still lesser than 10. Like that. Up to count plus plus is 9. 9 is still lesser than 10. So when 9 plus plus, which is 10, 10 is not lesser than 10, the program is going to terminate outside the loop. Then you have loop stop. So it's just like a while loop, but the only difference is just that the way its structure is different from while loop, because whenever we want to increase our count in while loop, we do it inside the while by saying count plus plus. But this one is very different. This one, when you are using for loop, you declare the expression all together. Inside the expression, you initialize. Inside the expression, you do the comparison, and inside the expression, you increase it inside the expression of a for loops, which is different from the while or the do while loop. So now we say count start from the 0, and the 0 is lesser than 10, which is count is lesser than 10, count plus plus. So right now the first count will be 0. Then when count plus plus, count will turn to 1. 1 is lesser than 10. Then you have the current count will be 1 this time around. Then count plus plus, count is now 2. 2 is still lesser than 10. Current count will be 2. So that's why it should be increasing. It will be increasing up to current count equals to 9. So when current count is equals to 9, then 9 plus plus will be 10. 10 is not lesser than 10. Then the program is going to terminate outside the loop. Then the next statement is going to run, which is loop stop. So let's save this program and see our output. It will just give you the same thing as when we are talking about the while loop. So let's refresh our web page. Can you see you still have 0 to 9? So instead of you using while loop, you can also use for loop to achieve the same thing. So that's just. So let's talk about the break statements. The break statement, which was briefly introduced when we are talking about the switch statement, I thought, as in I think you still remember during the time that we are talking about the switch statement, that I told you that when a statement is true and you want to terminate that statement, even though other statement that is present inside the same object, even though they may still be true, you just want to terminate. Since you have gotten a one truthful value, you want to terminate, you make use of break statement. And I did an example. You can go back to when we are talking about the switch and case statements. During the time we are talking about the if else statement. So in case you forgot about the break statement, I believe I've already explained it during that time, so you can refer back to that course. So for now, the break statement, which was briefly introduced with the switch statement, is used to exit a loop early, breaking out of the enclosing curly brackets. So if, let's say for example, now you said here now inside this loop, look at what happened. We said that count is lesser than 10. That means when count is 9, the loop will still continue. So that means it's until can't get to 10, that is when the program will terminate. Abi, that is the normal looping style. Is until for this kind of program, let's say you have 100 here, is on the program they can't get to 100, that is when the program will terminate. But when count is still 99, this loop is still going to work. You agreed? When count is still 99, the loop is still going to work. But immediately the count gets to 100, then this loop is going to terminate. But it's possible that even though you put lesser than 100, even though the normal integer that count supposed to attain before the program will terminate is 99 for this program, even though the normal integer that count supposed to achieve is 99, before it terminates is 99. It's possible that we use break statement to terminate this program when count is just 30. It's still possible, even though the normal digit that the count has to be is 100. Sorry, is 100 before the program will terminate, because when count is still 99, the program will still run. But immediately count go to 100, the program will be terminated automatically. Once count get to 100, the program will be terminated. But you can still write a program that even though count is supposed to terminate when it is 100, the loop has to terminate even though when it is 100. But it's possible for us to include a program using a break statement to terminate that program when count is just 30. Because there are some things you may be doing that you don't want the program to terminate when the expression is invalid. That is, when count has gotten to 100 in this example, you don't want it to terminate. You want it to terminate even before it's gotten to that 100. So you can make use of break statement in doing that. So let's try an example. So here now we say variable x equals to 1. Document.write entering the loop. Y, we make use of y. X is lesser than 20. Is that true? 1 is lesser than, is true. Then the program is going to run. This is our while loop. So here we said, now look at what happened. We said x is lesser than 20. We now said if x is equals to 5, that is whenever x gets to 5, then the program should what? It should break. It should break out of the loop completely. That's why we use loop. So that means we are going to have the program is going to run when x is 1, when x is 2. But normally the program is supposed to break out automatically if we didn't add this line of this code. If we didn't add this code that I highlighted, if we didn't add it, the program is supposed to terminate when x is what? Is 20 exactly. When x is still 19, the program will still the loop will still going to run. But immediately the x gets to value of 20, the loop is going to terminate. Default, that's the default, because 20 is not lesser than 20. But right now we have added a program inside the loop that states that if x is 5, we want it to break out of the loop. So even before x gets to 20, once x gets to 5, then the program will what? Will break out of the loop. That is the reason we make use of the break statement. So right now, but just note this program now, everything that is here now is inside the while loop. All this code now is inside the while loop. So if x is still 1 is lesser than 20, then this if statement aspect is not going to run. Then you have x, which is 1, is equals to 1 plus 1. Then that means x will be 2 now. Document.write x, which is 2. You are going to have 2. You are going to have 2. You are going to have 3. You are going to have 4. But when x is 5, the statement is going to break. So you are not going to see x when it's equals to 5. So let's run this code and see what happens. But when it's break, you are going to see existing the loop. That's the next statement after the. So let's see what happens. Can you see? Let me show you what happened. Look at it. We say variable x equals to 1. Why x is lesser than 20? Is x lesser than 20? 1 is lesser than 20. True. If s equals to 5, but this statement will run only if s equals to 5, but s is not equals to 5, then we will jump the statement. Here now, x equals to x plus 1. What is x? 1. 1 plus 1, 2. X is now 2. Then when we say document write x, that means we are writing 2 out. That is why we have our first two. Note the what we have here entering the loop is just the document just right that we write here before we enter the loop. So now our s is 2. Since 2 is still lesser than 20, here now in the next statement we have this 2 is still lesser than 20. We are still going to run the loop the second time. Now we say if s equals and s is not equals to 5, then this statement will not run again. It's still not going to work again. Then here we have x equals to x. X now is what? 2 plus 1 3. X is now 3. Document dot write, we have 3 now as the output. This is the 3. So x is 3 now. 3 is still lesser than 20. Then we have if 3 is equals to 5, which 3 is not equals to 5, then this statement is still not going to run. This if is still not going to run. Then we have 3. 3 is equals to 3 plus 1, which is 4. Document dot write 4. That's why we have the 4. So when x is 4 now, 4 is still lesser than 20. If this statement is still not going to run because 4 is not equals to 5, then 4 equals to 4 plus 1, then we have 5. Document dot write, that's why we have this 5. So when x is now equals to 5, 5 is still lesser than 20. Yes. If x equals to 5, which x is equals to 5 now, we say is you break. So using this break statement, we are trying to say that even though x is not equals to 20 yet, but because we say if s equals to 5, it should break, then that means when we use the break statement, we want it to break out of the loop. Even though it has not contained the normal 20 that it has to be, it has to reach before the program will terminate automatically. We all want to terminate it at a particular value when s equals to 5. That's why we say if s equals to 5, then it should terminate. So another word for termination in JavaScript is break. So now if s equals to 5, which s is now equals to 5, then we want it to break outside the loop. But note, all this is the loop. So if s equals to 5, we want it to break outside the loop. So outside the loop now, we have document.write existing loop. That's why we have the existing loop. So that's just to tell you that with break statement, you can break out of the loop. When you make use of your if statement, you'll be able to use that inside the curly bracket. You just put break. So the condition that you want it to break out. So whenever you set the condition, the expression, so whenever that expression is true inside that your while loop, then the loop is going to break. So that's just a break. Then another thing that we have is the continue statement. The continue statement tells the interpreter to immediately start the next iteration of the loop and skip the remaining code block. So let's try an example of the continue statement. We say here, we say variable x equals to 1, document.write entering the loop, y s equals to, is lesser than 10, s is lesser than 10, x equals to s plus 1, that means 1 plus 1, x is now 2. If x equals to 5, we want it to continue. That's it, it should skip rest of the loop body. That's it, continue means every other loop body that we have here, it should skip it. This time around, it's not as if we are not asking you to terminate outside the loop. But what we are trying to say is that it should continue. It means that it should skip all the rest of the loop body. You know, normally this loop body while loop now, it is all this place. It's all this region. But right now, from here to here, you said if s equals to 5, that it should continue. That means you want it to skip only this statement. So any statement that is apart, as in now, I've told you that the loop cover all this place. Let's say we have another statement. Let's say we have another statement like this. Now we said x equals to s plus 1. When I say if x equals to 5, it should continue. Meaning, we already know that our loop contains all these statements. But right now, we now say if s equals to 5, it should continue. And continue means that it should skip all the rest of the loop body, which are these 3 statements. You should skip them. So it will skip them and it will enter back to the loop. That's the meaning of continue. When you make use of the continue statement, you want it to skip the remaining part of the loop body. And you know the loop stop here. The loop stop here. So all these other are the other loop parts. So it will continue the loop by skipping the rest of the loop body that is running presently. So if you run this program now, when x equals to 1, you have 1 plus 1. Let me delete what I just included. When x equals to 1, you have x plus 1, 1 plus 1, which is 2. X is now 2. If this statement is not true, then this thing is not going to run, then you have document write 2. So 2 is still lesser than 10. 2 plus 1, 3 now. 3 is still not equals to 5. This statement is not going to run. You have document write 3. 3 is still lesser than 10. 3 plus 1, 4. This statement is still not going to run. Then you have document write 4. Are you getting it? Document write 4. 4 plus 1, you have 5. X is now 5. Then 5 is still lesser than 10. 5 is still lesser than 10. Then, sorry, when x equals to 4 here now, 4 is still lesser than 10. 4 plus 1, 5. Now, x is equals to 5. Abi, x is equals to 5. Then you say continue. Continue means you should skip this other loop body. So that means you are not going to have document.write 5. 5 will not be output. 5 will not be there. So there's something we go back to the loop. 5 is lesser than 10. You have 5 plus 1, 6. This statement does not hold again because 6 is not equals to 5. Then you have document.write 6. Like that, up to 9. So that means from you are going to see an output 1 to 9, but 5 will not be included because you have said that if 5 is equals to 5, that is when x equals to 5, you have said you should continue. And this continue, it means that you should skip this statement. And without this statement, 5 will not be inclusive in your output because it's this statement that will write document.write that was going to write 5 as an output. So the statement will write it when s is 1, when s is 2, when s is 3, when s is 4. It's going to jump when s is 5 because you have used this continue statement. So let's see what happened. So let's refresh our web page. Can you see? 2, 3, 4, 5 is skip. Because remember something. Is this document.write x that is writing these 2, writing 3, writing 4, writing 5, writing all these things that you are seeing here. But because we say that if x is now equals to 5, it should continue. And continue in JavaScript means it should skip the rest of the loop body. And the rest of this loop body it should be the one that will write that 5. But because you have skipped it, then you have go back to the loop again when x equals to 5. Then the normal x now is 6. It jumped this. There's no need of skipping. Then it will write 6. That is why you see that after that is 4, you have 6. And 5 is not inclusive. So that's just about the continue statement. So the difference between a break statement is if this condition is true, terminate out of the loop. While continue statement is if this condition is true, skip the loop body and start the loop again. Skip the loop for the other loop body, the other part of the loop body, and continue with the loop. Another thing is using label to control the flows. Starting from JavaScript 1.2, a label can be used with break and continue to control the flow more precisely. A label is simply an identifier followed by a colon that is applied to a statement or a block of codes. We will see two different examples to use label with break and continue. Note, line break are not allowed between continue or break statements and its label name. Also, there should not be any other statement in between the label and the associated loop. So let's try an example. So this is the example 1. Example 1. So document.write entry loop, then we use the label outer loop. This is the label. Now we say for var I equals to 0. Here now they declare I inside this for loop and they assign it. I is lesser than 5, I plus plus. Document.write outer loop I. So it should just be going like that. 0, 1 2 3 4 like that. Then we ask it to what? Inner loop. We declare a label here, we call it outer loop. We declare another label here, we call it inner loop. We now say for var j, we declare another variable here using for loop, another for loop again. You are using another for loop inside another for loop. We now say if j is greater than 3, it should break. That's it. Whenever this j is greater than 3, this loop is going to what? Is going to terminate. Is this first loop that will terminate? The second loop will still be there. You are just terminating this loop that houses this break. We now say if I, which is this, is equals to 2, it should break. You are also breaking this loop. You are also breaking this loop. But this time around, we said that it should break and do the same thing. It should repeat itself. Making use of the word the in. It should loop. That's, the label is inner loop, and the inner loop is this loop. So, but now we said if I equals to 2, we say whenever I is equals to 2, it should break. It should terminate outside this inner loop. It should terminate outside this loop and start inner loop again. That's why we use this label. And we say if I equals to 4, when I equals to 4, it should break. It should break outside this loop, and it should what? It should start the what? The outer loop. And this is the outer loop. It will start the outer loop again. So when all the conditions are true, when the loop has loop has finished terminating, then you have existing loop. So let's save this and refresh it. Can you see? So that's your results. So you can try the other one yourself, and you can go through all the content so that you have theoretical knowledge about everything we are trying to pass across. So thank you so much. So that's just about the JavaScript iteration and the label.